Okay, just yesterday, our judiciary correspondent made a report, concerning this. He was live on ground. Before we play the report for you, I want you to also know that after said report, the judiciary correspondent will be live with us here in the studio to discuss more and tell us the in and out of the case that happened with Dariye. Let's take it.
It all started on 13 July. It all started on 13 July 2007 when the EFCC brought a 23-count corruption charge against Dariye. Dariye quickly fought back but was forced to resume trial. In her verdict on Tuesday, Justice Banjoko said she was not persuaded by Dariye's claim of being a victim, declaring what she termed as systematic looting. The judge noted that Dariye was at a point richer than his state, considering his inability to explain how he secured a central bank check. While the court sentenced the defendant to 2 years imprisonment on each of the counts bordering on misappropriation, he was handed 14 years for the count involving criminal breach of trust.
So we are still on. So what we did do is we were able to secure conviction, secure development, and I hope this will serve as a deterrent to what that corruption it's a lesson for everyone. So it's not only it's not only important for everyone. Nobody is now, there are many victims of corruption. Sometimes convicted people have been yes. You had the fact and mistakenly sometimes
At the end, the court held that the sentence will run concurrently. The court directed the EFCC to return all the funds it recovered in the course of the investigation into the coffers of Plateau State.
All right, that was Joshua Dariyes, who was convicted yesterday to a 14-year jail term for corruption spanning into 1.1 billion naira or million naira. But the truth of the matter is that he was actually found guilty yesterday. Our judiciary correspondent, Emmanuel Bagudu, was there live and will give us an eyewitness report on what happened yesterday at the court. Yeah, Emmanuel, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Morning, Pius.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Emma is on the big side, so just manage him like that. Yeah. All right, so tell us what exactly happened yesterday at the court.
Well, interesting judgment, so to say. The judgment took about 8 hours.
Wow.
Justice Adebukola Banjoko started reading that judgment from 9 a.m. up to, sometime around 5 p.m. or something. I think at the point when it was 4:30 p.m., that was when he got convicted. And then, of course, counsels have to, coming together, to, pitch in for a light sentence. It took another 30 minutes. So after 30 minutes, the Banjoko, went into an inner room, to get to write the sentence. And it was 14 years.
Wow.
We had 2 years of misappropriation and, of course, 14 years of criminal breach of trust. But they had to run concurrently.
Okay.
So when you look at the report, you see some reports saying 16 years. No, I think the entire, years he's spending in prison is 14 years.
14.
Yeah, one very interesting fact that I noticed about the judge was the fact that the judge is ICT compliant.
Wow.
She was reading her judgment from a computer for 8 hours.
Wow.
So it's very interesting.
Wow.
The judiciary is, going, higher.
Digital.
Digital.
They're going digital.
Yes, that's it.
Okay, now tell us about how this very matter had been in court for a while. Tell us the journey, what it was like coming to said conclusion and conviction.
Yeah, it started. The matter started, in July 2007. An 8-year, case going on, and when Dariye made an attempt to, quash the matter up to the Supreme Court level, he failed, and the Supreme Court asked him to go back and face trial. He made a no-case submission, starting from the appeal court up to the Supreme Court, where he didn't succeed. So by 2016, he has to begin trial proper, and of course, he started, running concurrently as well with that of his accomplices, which is the All State Bank, whom helped him secure the central bank check of the ecological funds he was said to have looted. So their case was going on at the Federal High Court in Kaduna. Justice Liman was presiding over the case, and of course they were later, some of them were later, discharged. They were discharged at the end of the day, but of course it has nothing to do with his own trial here in Abuja, which of course he tried, to make the court believe that okay, since his bankers were discharged, him to opt to have been he has to be discharged. But of course the court said no, and that the matter in Kaduna and Abuja are two different things. Besides, he's the principal suspect.
Okay, now let's marry. This is happening barely how many weeks after, we had Governor Jolly Yami, being convicted similarly. What would you say in comparison in these two cases? What are the similarities and differences, if any?
Well, I think I would just say that the EFCC is at its peak, so to say. I'm not holding brief for the EFCC, but I think it's more of a coincidence. I think because in Yami too, his case was going on for about 8 years too, and of course EFCC thought it wise to sign up these cases going on. But the issue here we are having here is that the fact that Dariye's case has been going on, and Dariye has been, adjourning this case through his cancer. Right from the time of Goodluck Jonathan up to this time. He brought 17 reliefs. He wanted to be given about 17 reliefs, but of course the court didn't even grant him some. They managed to squash 8 charges. But at the point where he said that all the money that he spent or rather looted, so as accused, it was the fact that he did it as of the demands of his office as official, chief executive of Plateau State. And of course, there was a report that came in from the Plateau State House of Assembly that that exonerated Dariye, but the court didn't look at that. But happening at this time, I would say it doesn't make coincidence, and for the fact that the EFCC is at its peak, of trying to lend its helping hand, or rather fulfill its mandate to the government of fighting the corruption that is going on in the country.
Okay, now I can't allow you go without making mention of the fact that there's speculations out there that yes, the EFCC is at its big convictions, are happening. But I want you, being a judiciary correspondent, you've been in this field and have been feeling this pulse all through the years. So do you think the pulse is higher, being that 2018 is the eve? Exactly. You just took the question out of my mouth. How does it feel? From the previous years, down this year, what is your observation like?
Not just this year. If you look at the speech of Mr. President, of course, the EFCC boss during the opening ceremony of the EFCC headquarters in Abuja, it's not this year they started convicting people. He said that within 2 years they have secured over 400 convictions. Over 400 convictions. And this and the last 2 weeks is just an addition to what they have secured. So I think it's the primary objective of this government is the anti-graft war. So it's not surprising to see them gathering, acquiring or securing a lot of convictions this year. This is not the year they are securing convictions. Even when they came in, they started pursuing these people that have been alleged to have looted this country's treasury. So I think I'm not surprised, and I will not say it's more like a propaganda, or that they are being serious. After this year, they will not be serious. No, I don't think so, because one of the top priority of this government is to fight corruption, and I'm not surprised to see this happening. And of course, don't forget they are not even the ones that created the EFCC. The EFCC was created a long time ago by the Obasanjo-led administration. So I think it's just government is a continuum. I think they are doing what is expected of them from Nigerians.
Okay, before I move you over to Mr. Pius, I'd like to ask you finally, could you tell us, cases that we should look forward to, cases that, the judgment, we should expect to see judgment or adjournment anytime soon, cases that, people should look out for and know that, okay, very soon, this should be heard about this in courts, that should be heard about this.
Yeah, very interesting. It's all about state governors, just like Pius said at the beginning before I came in. We are looking forward to seeing the Jigawa State Governor, former Jigawa State Governor Sule Lamido and his 3 sons, facing trial, of course, at the 27th of this month. Some amended charges were brought against them again, and then we see their trial, taking place. Then, of course, there's going to be a ruling by the appellate court on this ex-governor Shema of Katsina State. He's also facing some kind of charges that has to do with, of course, money laundering. So I think the key among things to expect is governors. State governor, of course, Kaduna State Governor too is there. There's Mukhtar Ramadan, right? Yaro, and of course so many others. So these are top high-profile cases. I think the APC will have to take advantage of, to win the hearts of Nigerians, come 2019. And just like you said, it's a pre-election year, and it's an opportunity for them to prove their case.
Are you aware of the Inyako's case? That has been back and forth, has been going back and forth.
Yes. Yeah. Murtala Nyako. His case has been ongoing at that's Okona Bank. Okona Bank has been the one presiding over his prosecution. So far, so good. I think he's making progress. He has brought so far, I think, 6 witnesses. So far, the ones I've witnessed, the ones I've covered, he brought 6 witnesses. And the case continues just before the vacation is coming in July. Just before the vacation, I think he's going to have 2 sittings. And I know that before the year runs out, we are going to have either a discharge or a conviction of one of these governors. But I wish them good luck anyway.
Yeah, definitely. You just have to wish them good luck. But what's your take on the general ambience at the court yesterday when the verdict was being reeled out by the judge? What was Dariye's body language? What was his supporters' body language? What was the EFCC's body language? Putting all this together, what was the general ambience around the court?
A very good question. Body language. If you remember in our news, there's a place where Buhari and Dariye has to plead with the court through his counsel, Paul Orokoro. There was a time he was given an opportunity to go and see his counsel. They talked on one side. The issue was that he has to plead with the court to temper justice with mercy. That, of course, he was deceived by his bankers. That was what he told the court. He was deceived by his bankers, that he didn't know the implication of what he has done. So he was the mood yesterday was very, very emotional. It was very, and to some Nigerians it's nostalgic, because it's been a quite, some Nigerians long to see, these governors, being convicted. So it's a mixed feeling. Some it's a mixed feeling for, for those who are for or against, the anti-corruption war. And I really, it was very pathetic, so to say, seeing him being drove out of inside the EFCC hillocks to be handed over to the prison officials. Wow. So it was very, very emotional, and I hope it serves as a deterrent to serving governors who play with state treasury at the detriment of the populace. So I think it serves as a warning to them.
So after that judgment was ruled out, he was whisked away by the EFCC
hillocks, alongside heavily armed mobile policemen, out of the Bagudu High Court.
And don't forget that this is also a serving senator.
Yeah, Plateau Central. Plateau Central. And what's the implication? Does that mean that you want to find out whether there will be a by-election?
That's what.
That takes us to what you were discussing before I came in, talking about whether you appeal.
Yeah, maybe.
Of course, they have to give them. But of course, they will look at the Electoral Act and what it says. But I think the last question we asked Dariye's counsel was the fact that whether he's satisfied with the judgment. He said he's satisfied with the judgment, that he's okay with the judgment, that of course is according to the law, and it's of course a judge of the Federal Republic that passed the sentence, that he's satisfied with the sentence. We asked him whether he's going to apply to the appellate court. He said that of course he has to wait for instruction from his client. And of course, in this case that you brought in, he's a serving senator. So the question of applying to the appellate court has to start now, so that I will know whether to get set for a by-election. So I think that is where the issue is.
Now, you were also in court, while some evidences were presented to the court, and I don't know, maybe there were witnesses that came to testify against Dariye.
That was before the judgment.
Yeah, before the judgment. Now, most times, these witnesses, are they allowed, to have an interaction with the accused? So that maybe they can just interface and all of that and talk, or as a witness, you just walk into the court, you're being boxed up, and then you're asked a few questions by the prosecuting counsel.
Yeah, of course, the witness will have nothing to do with of course, if the witness is for the defense or for the prosecution, of course, they will deal with who they come to testify for or against. You know, if I'm bringing a witness in court, of course, my counsel have to talk to the witness. You know, they must have talked to the witness, you know, and, you know, tell him what to say, and then I will let him know that this is the information he's trying to give the court so that justice will be secured. So I think there was no any room for a witness came into the court. I think the preliminaries have been done already before the witness came in. Witnesses came in, and then cross-examinations, you know, started. The defense, you know, cross-examined his witness, and after which the prosecution, of course, will, you know, go ahead and do his re-examination, you know, to see that to get more facts from the witness, because the witness is not only for one counsel, it's for the both counsel. If we are fighting for a cause and I bring a witness, you two have the right to, you know, to cross-examine that witness, and of course ask him questions, if you like, confuse him so that you get results.
And let me explain that bit a little bit more like you bring a witness and you have the right to cross-examine because you brought him. You must have told him the things he's supposed to say, prepared him. Now in your cross-examinations, you put potholes in the things that, you know, we had arranged. You would raise questions in the mind of the judge, you know, concerning your credibility. The re-examination is now for me that brought you to make sure that those questions that are being raised in the minds of the judge are answered. Because you get to lawyers, you know how they do. They're very tricky. They'll ask you a very yes and no question. Then yes and no questions sometimes box you up. You need to explain more for people to understand.
They want a yes or no.
It's just a yes or no. And then the no you would say would just probably dig the pit for you. But the re-examination helps the lawyer to give you the opportunity to explain that thing that you wanted to say that is a position to not allow you to.
Very true, very true. A lot of witnesses came in this case before the judgment. You know, the witness, part of the contention Dariye was contending was the fact that the witness, that he wasn't that the prosecution did not invite witness, the proper witness. You know, he was arguing the fact that he wasn't given justice because Rotimi Jacobs, as the EFCC counsel, did not approach some people that he's supposed to approach in Plateau State. For instance, the Accountant General of Plateau State wasn't invited by Rotimi Jacobs, as the EFCC counsel. And of course, other principal officers within their council section, when Dariye was the governor, they were not invited to come and, you know, sign in to, you know, testify. Rotimi Jacobs know why he did that. But Dariye was, you know, arguing through his counsel, that's the former Attorney General of the Federation, Kano Agabi, that he's supposed to invite these people. But the judge told them that, of course, the FCC counsel has the right to choose who he wants to invite. Of course, because they believe that, okay, if you bring this man, he's going to tell you the truth. So they probably Rotimi Jacobs found out that, okay, if I bring the Accountant General here, he's still loyal. He's still loyal to Dariye, so I'm not going to bring him. So it's my choice not to bring him. So it's even in accordance with the Evidence Act. The counsel decides the kind of witness he wants to bring. So that plea was, you know, discountenanced because you know, you cannot tell a counsel or rather a prosecution the kind of a witness to bring. So I think by and large, you cannot say that the court has done its part. And of course, EFCC has secured another conviction. It's on record already. There's something
it's on record. But you know, sometimes it's good for us as journalists to look at things from all perspectives.
Of course,
you know, I've seen situations whereby the EFCC will bring, you know, a witness, and the witness will come testify, you know, against the accused. And the next time the witness is coming, you ask him another question, he gives you a different angle. We've seen that also happen in the CCT trial of the Senate President. You know, the same guy that was saying all of the sayables, you know, turn around to start recounting and all of that. You know, so is it possible for you to talk your witness into robbing somebody up or framing somebody up?
Very possible. Very possible. In fact, the principle in law, you know, you do everything possible to, you know, to achieve, you know, success, to secure a good judgment. You know, you talked about the issue of a witness during the CC trial in Saraki. You know, that's a prosecution witness. That very person, I can't remember his name. He works for the CCB, the Bureau for Public, the Court of Conduct Tribunal, Court of Conduct Bureau, and he is one of the people, you know, that you know investigated and of course, you know, charged the Senate President, you know, to the CCT for trial. If a prosecutor can do anything, you know, to nail you, That's why he's not a prosecutor, he's a prosecutor. But of course, he is to prove a point. And the good thing about the Nigerian system is, of course, in the Nigerian law system is the fact that there is a presumption of innocence until proven guilty. So, the question you ask is a yes. You can, talk to your witness into, framing someone. It's very, very possible. And that is why lawyers these days have to be up and doing, work very hard. A lot of laws are coming. We're talking about the ACJA. The Administration of Criminal Justice Act just came in. We have the laws of Federal High Court coming in. They are all, used, to, pass sentences or pass judgments or ruling, as the case may be. A lot of laws are coming in. And of course, we also have the Fundamental, Human Rights Enforcement Act is also coming in. And of course, the, point of order for legal practitioners. Rules of order, or rather rules of professional, or they call it rules of professional conduct, so to say, for lawyers. So these laws, all these laws are used, in passing a judgment or a ruling, so that no matter how you want to frame someone, one of these laws, can come in, to rescue the situation. So I think that's even the essence why these laws were created, because every day things are, changing. So I think the Nigerian law system is going, forward. Just like I said, I think that was the first time I'm seeing a judge reading a judgment in the system, in the laptop, for 8 hours. She was schooling, and I said, wow, it's very, very interesting. So we hope that the digital war, penetrates or infiltrate into the Nigerian justice system.
We're going electronic voting. We're going electronic.
We also hope that they will start telling us that, oh, my judgment was hacked. Yes,
or hacked,
or hacked into. Because if you're bringing all of these, innovations into the fore, you need to also build parameters for checks. You understand, and then ensure that you really have a formidable wall, to keep your documents secured, either through hacking, someone can just through virus, and all of that. Virus can also be human.
Can change 2 years to 20 years.
Yeah, you can change 20 to 200.
That's a very good point.
Yes, just another zero, and maybe that zero might just be an O.
And none of us thought about it. We're just admiring the judge yesterday. Yes. None of us thought about all
so
these things.
You just have to be careful. It's not just enough to go ICT. You need to actually have a wall of defense to protect your documents, because an A turned to an an could be a different, could read a different meaning.
And that's the thing with law. Legal drafting is key. A word, a comma in the wrong place, a full stop in the right place has changed that document. And you can have a lawyer throw that document that is very important because of that little error, that was there. That is really a very important observation, that was made. We hope that while we are trying to progress, while we're trying to advance, we should advance the right way. We should go completely. It shouldn't just be something that, Banjoko decides personally. It should be something that, the panel, they have, ICT department that are in charge of these things to come together and make sure that it's a complicit and complete process.
Very, very true. Now, yesterday we also saw that Dariye was docked.
Of course.
What are the laws, if there are any, that I know he has been appearing in courts before now. Now, is it that every time he appears before the court, he's been docked?
Of course. Because he's facing a criminal charge.
Okay.
Of course, facing a criminal charge of misappropriation, of course, criminal breach of trust.
Okay.
The charges are 23. And out of those 23, 8 were squashed. He was saved from 8. So those charges are very, very criminal in nature, and of course he has to be docked. That's the main reason why he was docked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I just move?
Yeah. Sorry, Aisha. Because why I asked this question is because I've also seen some other guys who were accused, and then they get to the courts and they sit among the other people. I think I've seen the former aviation minister, Femi Fani-Kayode. Yes, in court he's just seated. No, he's not been docked.
Okay.
I've seen him seated. He's not been docked, and I think I saw one other person just sitting around where the lawyers.
I think civil cases have more of that laxitude where if it's a civil case you can sit amongst, especially when you're not in the police custody and you were not arrested, you're coming from the house and you're coming to appear, with your lawyer. But in criminal cases, why this happens is because the witnesses that are given assertions have to be looking at the accused. they have to recognize the accused and make their statements to the accused. So the accused have to be away from these people. So when a witness comes, okay, and then the lawyer asks you a question, where were you on so-and-so day? I was in so-and-so person's house. Is that person in the court right now? You'd be like, yes, that is the man right there. So that is why they say in criminal cases, the like he says, there's innocence until proven guilty. And the things that help them prove these people guilty are this testimonies from the witnesses and the evidences that are brought to court. So yes, the accused has to be, you know, in one section and away from the people, be docked, as you put it.
And being docked, being docked is nothing, because in fact there is a part of the law that actually, you know, permits one to even be absent during his trial.
Yes, in absentia.
Of course, with a good reason. So if you notice, even you know, the ongoing case of Dina Malai, which was of course suspended, sine die. You know, it's not all the cases that he was around, because of course he gets some good reasons of being hospitalized and all that.
The case of this guy was not allowed to fly. Justice Abang was insisting on carrying on with the case,
of course,
you know, even in essential. So why was that? Is it that he's the worst heated or what?
Of course, Abang has his own reasons, because he's a judge, and of course he's a minister in the Temple of Justice. So I know he has his reason. Even though the prosecution, that Savannah Style, you know, alleged that, you know, of course, Metu is also, you know, playing a script in the bank.
I wish I could edit that script for him.
He's just playing a script. So I think the prosecution is making progress on that case. That's why, you know, I think that's why Metu was not able to fly for medical trips. So, but in the case of Metu, I think, you know, justice has to, you know, be secured, you know, as quickly as possible, because, you know, for things to happen, like someone collapsing in court, someone coming to court and stretcher, you know, surprises are about to happen in cases like that.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think the jury have to, you know, do something about it.
Okay, now same yesterday, Peace Corps Commandant Dixon Akko, his case has been indefinite. Could you tell us more, give us more insight, you know, about the happenings yesterday? Because there was a statement, I was having a conversation, and someone said you can't expect to run away from a particular court and go back to that same court, you know, to ask for judgment. Could you enlighten us more on
That's talking about the police.
Yes.
You know, yesterday Justice John Soho at the Federal High Court, you know, suspended the ongoing trial of the Peace Corps indefinitely. You know, the reason for that is the fact that the Nigerian police disobeyed him and other judges. They disobeyed court order. You know, on the 27th of February 2017, the Nigerian police raided the Peace Corps premises when they were having a ceremony, and then they arrested the commandant, Sinako, and 49 others. You know, they detained them, and of course charged them to court. So the trial has been going on, but yesterday the trial has to be suspended. The reason is that the police have not been fair during the trial. They have not been fair. You know, they have not been, you know, fair in prosecuting the Peace Corps. You know, why I said so is the fact that the Peace Corps have been, you know, successful in all the trials that the police have been taking them and been trying them. And of course, the recent success was the fact that Justice John Soho made a pronouncement about 2 months ago that their account be frozen, and of course, and then their premises be unsealed, which is located at Airwork in Jabi here in Abuja. That's the headquarters. So the police have laid siege to that place. If you go there, you see a police van, a police ammo tank, you know, in front of the gate, and the policemen guarding the whole premises. So what the judge wants is that, of course, you're prosecuting this man. Allow him room to defend himself. Give him room, you know, to get the papers. His papers, necessary documents that he needs to defend himself, are in that building, and you seal the building, and you're prosecuting him. Free him, let him go and get these papers, and then come in, and, you know, of course, you know, defend himself. This is law we're talking about. This is not a police station. This is the court of law, where, of course, justice has to, you know, be secured by either parties, either the police or, of course, because of course justice is of course of both areas. So the judge now says, since you are not able to, I've warned you how many times to, you know, go. Even the National Assembly, there was a time, you know, they asked the Peace Corps, go and take over your premises, go and take possession of your office. But of course, when they went there, of course, the police resisted them and sent them back. You know, the police are actually supposed to protect the office while they are operating in the office, because they are law enforcement agents. But of course, instead, you know, they send them away from their own office, and they are paying rent in that office, and the rent is counted.
Okay.
So
Now, can I quickly ask, why suspend the trial indefinitely and not just dismiss it? Tell me, and having, been a part of the fact that, the judge could easily have said, okay, you know what, I dismiss your case. And it would have made the police realize that, okay, what they do, I felt it would have had more effect than the suspension. Tell me why you think he opted for suspension.
well, that would be too hard on the police. He's a justice, he's a judge, and once by the time he's passing his ruling, he has to be balanced. After all, the peace court didn't even ask for the case to be dismissed. They said they want to continue.
Oh, okay.
That's what
See, they know that they.
Because we asked them, is it that you are afraid of? They said, no, they are ready for trial. We want to continue trial. In fact, we don't even want the case to be dismissed. We want the case to be suspended, pending when police are able to do the needful.
Okay.
Because we want the case to continue. We have all our facts. We are law-abiding citizens, that's what they say. Of course, give us an opportunity. If the police really want to prosecute us, let us go to the field. Let's go to the field. Let's get the people. Let them give us that playing ground, to get all the necessary documents that we need, to defend ourselves. But according to the chair, of course, Peace Corps commander yesterday, he said the police are just trying to persecute him. Because if they really want to try him, they only want to prosecute, let them give him opportunity to defend himself. Because that's what the law says. Give me opportunity to defend myself. Let me defend myself. Hear from me. But you block all the necessary avenues that I need to do, to get all the things I need, the avenues I need to follow, the path I need to follow, to get justice. You blocked it, and then you still want to continue prosecuting. That is persecution. It's not prosecution. That's what they claim.
Okay.
Of course, that's how it seems as it is now. Since the judge has decided, okay, I'm going to suspend the trial. Don't bring this man to court again until you're able to free him of his belongings.
What was the reaction like, from the police team? I haven't heard this. What did the lawyer have to say yesterday?
Well, the police team, walked out of the premises of the court. They shy away from journalists.
Okay.
And all that. I think this is not the first time it's happening. We have tried several times to approach police councils whenever the ruling or judgment, if they run away, without even commenting. But the whole atmosphere there was was a heyday for, of course, for the Peace Corps, persons. Yeah.
Must have been.
Yeah, I think we've seen situations whereby the Peace Corps, was dragged to court and they won that case.
Of course.
They've won series of cases.
They've not lost any case. So
yeah, since the prosecution started, or prosecution /
In fact, there was a judgment by Bagudu Kolawole that awarded the Peace Corps 12 million naira damages. Yeah, and there's another one that even awarded the Peace Corps 15 billion naira damages.
Wow.
So they've been making money off there.
They have not paid them.
No wonder he wants to continue with the case because he knows that the end.
No, I don't think so, because the last time in fact, just the same thing you are telling me, I told him that. I said, sir, you must have been making money from the police force. He said, no, that they have not paid him one time.
No, they are still owing them.
That all he's interested is justice and for peace to reign in the country. He is not interested in their money. If they want to pay you, fine, he will collect it. But if they are not ready to pay him, of course, all he's interested is peace. So that's what he said. So I don't think he's making any money from the police.
But are you sure they are going to pay? And what happens if they fail to pay?
Yes, there's this provisions, for enforcing a judgment. When you enforce a judgment like that, you take me to court, I'm supposed to pay for damages, I didn't pay. There's a way you can enforce it. By the time you enforce it and it gets to the top, of course, it's going to be it's going to be very bad for me. So I think, but in this case, it's like he doesn't want a serious feud with the Nigerian police, and there are some kind of issues that when it's resolved, you just have to let go, and you don't need to go further, so to say. And there is a point you even go to the court and the judge will tell you that at this point there's nothing I can do. Of course, there is that point in court. So that's that about that.
All right, Emmanuel Bagudu, judiciary correspondent, talking like a lawyer.
I'm
yeah, thank you so very much for being on the show with us today. And then at this point, okay, we'll have to call the show a wrap, and then together with Emmanuel Bagudu, we want to say thank you for watching. Wherever you're watching us from, in and around the country, we say thank you for tuning on to PTV today.